News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT proudly presents America's coolest conservative. Well, proudly could be stretching it a bit. Welcome to the DJ Ritchie Show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. This is it. The Green-Eyed Patriot on the air everywhere. Now look, I am but a man. You know, I know a lot of you think that I have superpowers, superhero stuff and all that, but I'm just a man. I am a man. And I will come on here and share my personal life with you. And I know that's not really the way the greats in talk radio do it. You know, Rush Limbaugh used to always say, I don't want to come in here and bleed all over the audience. And it makes sense. Now, I'm not going to bleed all over you. I'm not going to just sit and pour my problems out to you. But if something's going on with me as a regular person that I think you as the 11 listeners, the TJ radio family will understand and relate to, I'm going to tell you. So I was sitting in my garage today and I had a fine imported cigar, and it was a little chilly, but no big deal. I was enjoying it. And I was doing my, what we call in the business, show prep. Prep, short for preparation, obviously. And while I was doing said show prep and enjoying the fine imported cigar, my phone rang, and you know what? It was a call. Somebody was calling me. And I got all caught up in this conversation, and I feel like it interrupted my show preparation so badly and sent my brain off in another direction. I don't feel like I'm fully prepared to entertain you and inform you tonight on the level that I would like to do so. Now, I have things, and I can present them and have a show, but here's what I want to do. I would like for you, as members of my family, my radio family, to pitch in a little bit tonight. You know, when somebody is in need of help, you help them. So I would like for you to really concentrate on bringing in some good material to add to the party tonight. By calling and texting and I mean, just really blow it up tonight. 704-570-1110 is the number. 704-570-1110. You can call that. Talk to either Lonnie Ray or Sweet Andrew, one of the two. They'll talk to you, find out what you want, and see about getting you on the radio to share it with everybody. It's your opportunity to be a star, is what it is. You can also text that number. It's driven by Liberty Buick GMC. You know the issues of the day. Let's see what you got. Now, you say, well, what's different about that? You ask for calls every night. Sure, I do. But I don't rely on the calls to get me through the show. You know, because I come in fired up, ready to go. I got the material. I'm moving from here to there, from here to there, and there, and there, and boom, 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 boom. Okay? But tonight, I want to see what you got. Now, one thing about it is, I'm not going to be rude to you on the phone when you call, because I've asked you to call, and for you to call is nice. I appreciate it. But bring it. I mean, bring something that you know is A material that's going to be well received by all of the 11 listeners. Something compelling, something that we can springboard from it to something else. Now, it's very nice if you want to call and brag on me and tell me how much you enjoy the show and how handsome I am and how funny and intelligent and blah, blah, blah. You know, the things that most of you call and talk about. I appreciate that so much. It brings tears to my eyes when you do that. But that's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to call and go, it's all right if you're having a down night. We got you. You know, your worst night is better than what anybody else could bring. You know, those kinds of things. I'm not asking for that. I just want to know what is on your mind. If I said to you, the next segment of the TJ Ritchie Show is yours, what are we talking about? You know, kind of like I did young Isaac on his last night before he deserted us. I let Isaac run the whole thing. What do you want to talk about, Isaac? I'm going to do that with you tonight. I say that, but then I may get, you know, sparked off in just a minute and then say, never mind, I'm good to go now. No, I'm not going to do that. This will be fun. But again, I just ask that you, like, if you're one of them that calls and you're drunk and you just blah, 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 you know, I don't need that. Or, you know, you don't have to tell the phone screeners that you want to talk about something. And then when you get on the air, start going into, you know, whatever you think is a funny comedy routine and all. That's happened before. And I've been burned by that, and I won't be burned by it anymore. You'll be cut off immediately if that's what happens. I don't play that. Okay. So once again, 704-570-1110. And if I don't have any contributors that are, you know, what I said is bringing it, then we'll just move on. I won't bring it up again. I'm not going to call you out and say, oh, you suck. Anybody that just called, you sucked. I'm not putting you on. Not like that at all. I just want to give you the opportunity to be a star tonight. Okay. Get on the phone. Do what you got to do. We'll see what we got out of it coming up next.
More of the TJ Ritchie Show is coming up. Identifying liberalism and mocking it relentlessly. This is the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Look at this. I asked for some help for tonight's show, and people are pitching in like crazy. Thank you very much. Now, going to the texts in the studio here, the first two that came in when I said, hey, look, my show preparation got interrupted this afternoon, and I kind of got off track, and I don't feel like I've really prepared enough for tonight, and I asked for some help. So right off the bat, the first text messages that came in, I guess TJ stands for turd jerk because you're so dumb. You're such a liar. Okay. Thanks for the help. And then the second one that came in, such an idiot. All right. You know, it warms me deep down into the cockles of my heart to have such loyal fans, nay, family out there supporting. Oh, and then here's another one. Republicans already tore down this country, you idiot. Do you think deporting immigrants gonna change something in this broken country? I don't know. Maybe you could self-deport if this country is so bad. This broken country, this country's so broken. Why don't you go ahead and go somewhere where you think it would be easier for you to live? How about that? And you won't have to be bothered by my voice ever again. Gone with your bad self. Where you going? No damn where. That's where you're going. Not a damn place outside of the United States. Oh, and then it says, one day your stinky, dirty mouth will be shut down. That sounds like a threat to me. Lonnie, get this person's number, call the police. Doesn't that sound like a threat? We can't be playing too much.
Can't be
that
playing
sounds like a
that,
threat.
man.
Huh?
We can't be playing like that, man.
No. So you know what happens really? These are the same people that I always say, if you want to argue issues, you want to have a differing viewpoint and all that, I'll do that. But they just call and they call me or they write in, they call me names and things like that. They don't want to, they can't argue points. And I think they just do it for attention. Well, I block them when they do that. And then I think it's a certain amount of time that they get blocked. So they must be checking every day to see if they've unblocked yet, if the time is up. And then boom, as soon as it is, they start coming in. I think it's funny. And it says, come and deport me, scumbag. Oh, well, see, I don't have the authority to deport you. You have the authority to deport yourself. That's what I'm saying. This is going. Hey, TJ, please say hi to my parrot, Simpson. He keeps repeating green-eyed. Oh, well, that's cool. Hey, Simpson, green-eyed. You know, this is about the same response I would get probably if I were talking to a parrot in person. I would be telling it to say stuff and it wouldn't say anything. So there you go. So let's see. We do have some people calling as well, if they're still on the phone here. Lonnie, let's go to Joel on line 1 and see what he's got going on. Hey, Joel.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, I just want you to know I'm a new listener. I just started listening about 6 months ago, and I love your show. I love you mainly because we are pretty much identically aligned in our feelings about what's going on in the country.
Yeah. So that tells me that you're a very intelligent man, Joel.
Well, I feel the same way about you, but all I wanted to do was call in because I got in my car. I was leaving Harris Teeter. I heard what you were saying. Just as I got in my car, you were saying, you know, that you didn't prepare. And I'm like, I got to tell TJ, hey, look, things happen. But when you're TJ Ritchie, I told the gentleman I spoke to, I said, when you're TJ Ritchie, you don't need to prepare. You don't need to prepare. I mean, you're TJ Ritchie. And I just wanted to lift you up with that,
you.
Because I love your show. I love the stuff that I've heard. I laugh in the car. And we are aligned exactly as far as politically or whatever is going on in our crazy country. And that's it. I don't want to take up too much time.
That's awesome, Joel. I really appreciate you being out there and supporting the show and everything, and you have made my night. Thank you very much.
Nice to talk to you, TJ.
All right. Be careful. Talk to you soon. Okay. Let's check out line 4 and see what Carson is talking about. Oh, no, line 4 he dropped. Okay. Let's go to Ron then on line 2.
Hello?
Hey, Ron, how are you, buddy?
I am ready for Christmas. Thank you, Mr. TJ, for taking my call. I wanted to give you some insight. Years ago when I first moved to Gastonia, North Carolina, every Christmas they came out with a product called Jack's Christmas Cookies or Jack's Cookies. They were like a Dutch Holland sugar cookie, and they had little pictures of Christmas trees and ornaments and stuff on them. My niece at the time was over in Germany in several different duty stations, and I would send 4, 5, 6 boxes of cookies to her and for some of her fellow soldiers for years, and wherever she went, they couldn't wait till Christmas until I could send Jack's cookies.
Yeah.
Well, the powers that be sold the company, and Murray Cookie Company was the last company that bought them, and they took them out of business. Well, now there's a petition online to bring back Jack's cookies. Just wanted to make you aware of it and ask people if they would to go sign the petition. It is a wonderful product. It served a lot of good for the soldiers and troops when we sent it to them, and people would love it if they ate it. But it's sign the Jack's Cookies, Bring Back Jack's Cookies petition online, and I would appreciate it. And I know if you ever got to sample those, gosh, you would certainly love them. They were terrific cookies. They only came once a year.
Where is the what is the website to sign the petition? You just Google petition for Jack's Cookies.
Bring Back Jack's Cookies.
Okay, bringbackjackscookies.com.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. Cool. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. We'll get it. We'll get
hey,
on
listen,
that.
Even without show prep, you're still number one. Thank you so much for being there. Love listening to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you, Ron. And you're doing a good thing, man. Take care of the troops. All right. Well, now I do have show prep. It just I wasn't feeling the when I come on here, usually I got everything so buttoned up and I know I'm ready to start and boom, boom, boom. And I just, like I said, I've got it. I got stuff to talk about, but just to get through the initial, bang, bang of the introduction and the first segment and all of that, that's what I come in here fired up for. The first thing that I'm going to talk about. And it's turned out to be, y'all have helped me through that, and I really appreciate it. Even you idiots out there, like the one with the 980 area code. Now here's the thing. They call me all these names and everything. They think they're so clever. If I were to unleash, the insults that I could throw at them, they would be crying and calling the police. But that's not fair because I am a professional. And so it's easier for me just to block them instead of actually saying the rotten, nasty, dirty insults I could throw at them. I like to be a little more professional. So just know that if you haven't cried lately or in a while, then I could make you cry. I don't care who you are. I could insult you to the point where you cry. I will cuss you till a fly won't light on you. And you know how nasty that is. Oh, I could do it. But I choose to walk with the Jesus. That's what I choose, especially here coming up on his birthday. Walk with the Jesus, especially close to his birthday. So I'm just going to block y'all. Is actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to block y'all straight to hell. That's what I'm going to do. Bunch of demons out there. Demon liberals. Oh, you going to push me too far. Okay. Oh, whoever this is really mad now. Hanging on every word that I say. You are not a professional, you stupid, and then call me a B word. Ooh. You gonna smoke a turd in hell for saying that. That's what you gonna say. All right. So I got some people to block real fast. So y'all go ahead and get ready. Get your last insults in before I block you. Oh, here comes another one. Oh, they're coming in. They're coming in. All right. And then we'll get down to the real nitty gritty of the issues coming up next. Hang on.
TJ Ritchie Show. Late, live, and local. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WPT.
Okay, now we're going. Now we got the blood pumping. Boom, 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 boom. That's the heartbeat of America, ladies and gentlemen. That's the heartbeat of the Patriots. Not the New England Patriots either. The TJ-triots. That's what it is. Thank you for being a TJ-triot. There was another text message that I wanted to read at here. It says, I love the way you take the crazy people down. These are some of your best, most entertaining shows, but please keep up your political commentary, especially about those liberal white women. And they wrote it with the W and the white women, of which I am not one. Okay. Yeah. Who in the world would ever be proud of being a liberal white woman? Ugh, or a liberal anything for that matter. That's how you know they're crazy, because they're not ashamed of it. Ugh. Okay. Seems that our lovely Jazzy Crockett is not wanting to pay her bills. That's what it seems like. Now maybe we can start calling her Jazzy Deadbeat Crockett. Or as they, they call people in the car business, if you can't get financed or you got bad credit or you can't buy a car, they call you a bogue. Oh man, he's just kicking tires. He's a bogue. That's what they'll say, or they used to. Back when I was a young man, doing a lot of remote broadcasts from car dealerships. I don't know if that's still the vernacular. But here's the thing. Representative Jazzy Crockett owes more than $3,000 on an unpaid lien against her luxury Dallas condominium, which she, quote, continues to fail and refuse, end quote, to pay off, records show. Crockett, Democrat, Texas, was slapped with a claim of $3,047.79 by the Western Condominium Association on April 11th, 2024, which blocks her from selling the property until that debt is paid off. Fox News first reported. Records show that Crockett, quote, is in default in her obligation for payment of assessments and has failed and refused to, and continues to fail and refuse, despite demand upon her to pay the association assessments and related charges properly. She bought the property in 2014, and the address is listed on her voter registration. The condo complex boasts spa-like features, including a pool and clubhouse, and is located in a gated community. Per a homes.com description. Okay. So sounds like she's living in a luxurious condominium in Dallas, while she pretends to be, very connected to the poor people. Isn't that the way it always goes? Isn't that the way it always goes? Crockett's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. I'm sure they didn't. Congressional lawmakers earn an annual salary of $174,000. Crockett's most recent financial disclosures show her having between $15,000 and $50,000 worth of student loan debt. The outspoken 44-year-old, let me translate that, the loudmouth 44-year-old has stoked buzz that she may run for the Senate next year. Quote, I'm still thinking about running, she told CNN's State of the Union. We did get our polling back, so we are moving on the next phase to determine whether or not this would make sense in the moment. End quote. To be perfectly honest, the only reason that I'm continuing to consider whether or not I do this is because my polling says I can win. That's the bottom line. I think it's a pretty good impression. She teased that she would make a decision by Thanksgiving, and she lied about that because I guess she didn't. Filing deadline is tomorrow, so we'll see. Now, news of Crockett's lien comes weeks after she received scrutiny for splurging some $75,000 in campaign cash this year at posh hotels and transportation in places as varied as New York City, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Martha's Vineyard, and Chicago. Those expenses included $5,000 to West Hollywood Edition in Los Angeles, about $1,200 to the Times Square Edition in New York City, about $3,000 to the Edgartown Inn and $3,000 at the Cocoa, both in Martha's Vineyard, according to Federal Election Commission records. Crockett also took $50,000 from her campaign coffers during that time for security, which she has publicly claimed is necessary due to threats she's received. Jazzy. You better pay your bills, girl. You better pay your bills. I don't know much about these types of things. I'm not a financial person. But I guess those are things like that they say that she owes on this condo stuff. Those would be kind of like what homeowners association dues and fees and all that would be, I think. I'm guessing. And that's all I'm doing is guessing. I'm sure somebody will let me know if I'm wrong. Now, I really hope she runs for Senate because she knows she's not going to win a re-election for her House seat, especially since the Supreme Court today greenlit what Texas did with their gerrymandering. You know, everything that Republicans do now that is well within their rights to be doing always has to get drawn out and taken up to the Supreme Court now, because that's what the Democrats do. They know something is legal, but they take it to court. They get some communist wacko judge either on his or her own to decide this, or they threaten the judge. They blackmail the judge to get the ruling that they want. And then it stretches it even farther and goes and has to go all the way to the Supreme Court to be told the obvious. You're not outside the Constitution with what you're doing here. And then the Republicans go on. That's just how shady these professional Democrats are. I mean, they really are trashy. There's no doubt about that. They can run around in these high-dollar condos, living in high-dollar condos and going to all these 5-star resorts and taking money out of their campaign coffers for these big vacations and all of that stuff. And they can act like they're living high on the hog, but they're all just trashy. Trashy. And by all, I mean every professional Democrat. Anybody whose livelihood depends upon their being a Democrat. The fact that they're a Democrat is how they make a living. They're trashy. Pure trashy. That's what they are. Especially Jasmine Crockett. I'm sorry. Sweet Jazzy. JC. I will admit this, though. I think I was probably late teens, maybe even in my early 20s, when I realized that if you had a lien on something, that it was spelled L-I-E-N and not L-E-A-N, because I used to think it meant like the bank was leaning on you to pay the money. Maybe I wasn't in my 20s, but that's what I thought when I was a kid, that the bank was leaning on you. Oh, they got a lien on that house. Ooh, the bank's leaning on them to pay that money. Get out. So you see, I haven't always been the smartest person in the room. But for the most part, I have been. All right. Now we got to get into it. Today's versions, we'll start. It could take the rest of the show on this one topic. Democrats calling Republicans racists. Oh, it is my favorite thing of every day. Looking at news websites and watching TV news and seeing just how many times Democrats call Republicans racists. You would think it would be getting boring by now, but it's not yet. So hang on, we'll get into all that coming up next.
It's TJ Ritchie. He's radio royalty in the Carolinas and Queen Charlotte's sweetest prince. It's TJ Ritchie on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Unapologetic, in-your-face conservatism. If you can't take the heat, get out the text messages. Ooh, these fragile liberals. Fragile liberals. They're so predictable, yet crazy all at the same time. All right. As we've been talking about, especially last night, we got into this a lot, where the Democrats always end up going back to the tactic of calling Republicans racists. You know, that's the big tool in their arsenal. You know, Republicans are racists. And, you know, they abide by these communist principles and these radical ideals to say, if you say something enough, even though you know that it's not true, then people will start to believe it. And then you'll start to believe it yourself. So you can say these things and it appear as if you're not lying because you don't really think you are. You've convinced yourself by lying so many times about something that it is actually true now. You can't differentiate between the truth and a lie. And that's what goes on when it comes to Republicans are racist. Now, some of them never believe the lie. Most of them don't. They all know when they come out there and start throwing these charges. I'm talking about the professional Democrats. When they start throwing these charges at Republicans that they're racists and, you know, everything they do is because we're racist and all, they know that it's a lie. Because, you know, it's the same as when the quote unquote people of color who are professional Democrats or whatever, when they go out and start, you know, acting like they hate white people, you know, that's a big act as well. They do that to get credibility from the voters of color that they have manipulated and brainwashed. So he says, hey, I've convinced you that white people are racist and Republicans are racist, so I got to go act like I hate white people too. And they really don't. Most of them that are so brazenly outspoken about hating white people are married to white people. And they march to the beat that the white Democrat party bosses tell them to which they should march. It's just a fact. I'm the only person that's going to tell you that, though. I just know these things. They don't fool me. They do not fool me. So they think that President Trump has just thrown them a big, nice, juicy steak when he said he doesn't want these fraudulent Somalis in Minnesota to be in the country anymore. He called them garbage and all this stuff. Well, that just means that he is proving us right. He is a racist and blah, blah, blah. So we have the St. Paul mayor, Melvin Carter. You know Melvin. Melvin came out today with a big statement. And guess what he said? You'll never guess. You will never, ever guess what he said in his statement about President Trump's plans to deport fraudulent and illegal Somalis back to Somalia. You'll never guess. Let's just find out. Okay, go ahead.
We saw, sadly, the President of the United States open his mouth to take a whole group of people, a whole country of people, and denigrate just based on where they come from. And somehow we found ourselves to a place where that doesn't surprise any of us. But when the mayor said the word un-American, it rang true to me. I grew up celebrating in America and learning about an America who prided ourselves on being a beacon that drew people from other places. I grew up in an America that prided itself on being a country of immigrants, that prided itself on the fact that people from other countries would look across a whole ocean and say, that's where I want to be. And we have decades and generations of priding ourselves on being a beacon for immigration from Europe. I mean, it seems to many of us like the darker skinned the immigrants who come to our country are,
oh my God,
the more our posture on immigration as a country has shifted. That's un-American. That's concerning.
That's un-American. That's concerning. I love how he slips into his preacher cadence there a little bit. I love that. Here's the difference, Melvin. And you know the difference. I'm going to speak for you, Melvin, because I know you know. I know you know. The European immigrants that came here in the beginning, and up until however many years ago that you want to talk about, they came because they wanted to be Americans. They came because they think America is better than where they are. They came and made a life for themselves in the American system, whatever it was at the time. It's only been in the past, 50 years or more, a little more, that immigrants hit the shores of the United States of America with their hands out. Yeah, they look across that ocean and they see America and they want to come over here for a better life, but it's not the same feeling that the other immigrants have had at the beginning of the country. See, they didn't have a welfare state to come into. They didn't get off a boat at Ellis Island with an empty bag looking for the government to fill it with money and food. You clown. They actually came here and immediately learned the language. They immediately swelled up with pride that they were in what is the most free, liberated country in the history of the world. They didn't come here criticizing and showing up with a sense of entitlement that everybody else has to jump and do what they need to be done. They didn't come in here and rip off the government in fraudulent behavior like the immigrants and illegal aliens in your state did and in your town that you allowed to happen. If it went on in St. Paul, it's on you. And that I firmly believe Tim Walz was getting a kickback from all of that fraud. And I think that that's what's going to end up being uncovered. And maybe Melvin will have some kickbacks that he's got covered up that will be exposed as well. We'll just wait and see. But don't try that. It was just okay in other words, okay for, we loved white immigrants, but now the darker they are, it has shifted. That's un-American. It's concerning. Oh, is it? Yeah, we're in a racist, oppressive country. As you stand elected by the people of your city as the mayor of your big city. And I bet if you look around all of the professional Democrats standing around you in those big cities, you'll see that they're not white either. So how can it be that we are in such a racist society, a white racist society, when every major city in America has elected and appointed and have working for them many, 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 many people of color? Melvin, how do you know that? How do you square that? Melvin. You can't, because you're a liar. But congratulations on getting that past most people. But not me. I know all about you, Melvin. All right, hour 2 is coming up. Hang on for that.
More of the TJ Ritchie Show is coming up. News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT proudly presents America's coolest conservative. Well, proudly could be stretching it a bit. Welcome to the TJ Ritchie Show.
Yes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You all look so lovely tonight. Very lovely. It's so lovely having you here on a lovely night. Being lovely. Ooh, tomorrow night at this time, I'll be standing outside the radio station, freezing, collecting bikes for children with that John Hancock. I don't know. I don't even know whether they're going to allow me to talk on the radio or not. I never know about those things because, you know, I'm all a new guy on the block, and I'm at the same time new guy on the block and lowest man on the totem pole they've ever had at WBT. So I just show up. If they need me to do something, I'll do it. The reason they want me there is probably to help people, help unload bicycles out of people's trucks. That's probably what I'll be there for. Oh, but I bet all the talking will be done by the Beth and Bo. Woo. Bo and Beth. You know, people can't get a word in edgewise with them. Talk, blah, 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 blah. That's all they do. It's all right, though. I know, they're the stars. I used to be the star of the radio station. Not this one, but all the other ones I've ever worked for. It's okay. No, it'll be a good time. When I'm leaving. No, just kidding. I'm looking forward to it. So bring a bike. And don't be bringing one you stole, you know. We don't want any stolen bikes. We don't want to play that game. Make sure that you got it on the up and up. You know? Okay. So there's big news going on today with the FBI and the director, Kash Patel, the deputy director, Dan Bongino, who is also a brother in the broadcast world, radio, and then big podcast network he has now, which I guess he'll be going back to that whenever his stint is over in the FBI with the Trump administration. So what has happened is that they have gone back and they've been studying all the evidence that was collected around January 6th. And they didn't go gather new evidence. They just looked over everything, kind of like if it's a cold case, you know. And they found who they suspect is the person that planted these pipe bombs around town during, you know, January 6th, you know, the insurrection. Now, I said this from the beginning. I wasn't on a news talk station when I said it, but I've said it from the very beginning. I don't think that was our people that started that whole thing on January 6th. Now, right after January 6th, people were afraid to say that. They were told, you better not go on the radio and say stuff like that or you're going to get canceled. You'll get fired. Because the Biden administration, you know, being communists and all, we weren't free to speak back then. So it's been 4 years, and nobody could put any of the evidence together to find out who this suspect is until now. The suspect, according to podcaster Benny Johnson, a young black guy, radical anti-Trump activist, sued Trump and ICE and DHS, extreme racial justice advocate, works at his family bail bonds company that frees criminal aliens from ICE custody. And that would explain why the Biden FBI had mountains of evidence against Brian Cole Jr. Receipts, cell data, license plate, photos, and videos of the crime. They knew exactly who did it, but they did nothing about it. Brian's profile destroys their entire MAGA white supremacist insurrection bomber narrative in one blow. The FBI didn't fail to catch him. Leftists protected their own. This is the biggest FBI cover-up scandal in history. What a nightmare. Yeah. Now, my theory has always been that not only do they cover up things like this, I think they had people in that crowd that encouraged people to go into the Capitol and riot. It wasn't an insurrection. It was a riot. Police officers were not killed on January 6th. That's another Democrat lie. Only person killed was a woman named Ashley Babbitt. She was shot climbing in a window, I think, unarmed. She was a veteran. And, I guess it's safe to say all this now. But I truly, because I said when it happened, we're watching the news. And I said to my wife, wife, woman, our people don't do this sort of thing. There's something wrong here. Something is not right. Our people, conservatives, we don't do these things. Although there have been many, many times when, every one of us has wished that Republicans would do a little more crazy stuff. Not saying violence or anything like that, but, we just watch our leaders too much in the past not fight back. George W. Bush. But yeah, I think more and more of this kind of stuff is going to come out to where we finally find out one day that there were government assets, people who belong to the Democrat machine that started all of that and encouraged those people to go into those buildings and riot. You know why? Because our side is civilized. And I truly believe that if they weren't coerced into doing that and cheered on by plants from the Democrat Party, then those people were not, if you're rioting and doing that kind of stuff, you're not a true conservative. Okay. And that could be the case, but I just believe they were coached on getting in there and doing all of that stuff. Because the Democrats used it too much because they had to have something like that. You get it? They had to have something like that because they know that the Republicans had them dead to rights with all of those riots and uprisings and everything that happened, burning down towns, taking over buildings, setting up your own zone in Seattle and Portland where people weren't even allowed to go with all of those communist Antifa people. You see, all of that got washed away because the Republicans had an insurrection. So that's the main reason I've always believed that the Democrats staged that whole thing. So they would have an issue to say, well, so what? We were, our people, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and I were ripping up the country and burning it down and everything. But what about the insurrection? Oh, much worse than our mostly peaceful protests. But this guy's innocent until proven guilty. We'll go ahead and say that. That's another thing that we believe in the conservative world as the civilized side. Innocent until proven guilty. I wonder if that has started aggravating them. That I call them the uncivilized party. And we are the civil. Who cares? Who cares whether they like it or not? They can go pound sand, kick rocks, do all of that stuff. Okay, so we got to discuss these drug runners and this big pearl clutching event that the Democrats are conducting right now. Even though it's been disproven, they're still clutching pearls and falling on fainting couches and, oh, I declare, being all a bunch of drama queens. So I'll give you my opinions on all of that kind of stuff coming up next. Hang on.
The TJ Ritchie Show. He's America's coolest conservative. Welcome to the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
The Green-Eyed Patriot on the air everywhere. Ramming, jamming, slamming. Got it all going here. Got it all going. Oh, I just saw this story. It was posted 5 minutes ago on Libs of TikTok. And I know I said we're going to get into the drug boat situation and all that, but let me just throw this out at you here. All right. Think about when you were between the ages of 18 and 22. All right. And put yourself in the situation of these youngsters and see if you can relate to it at all. I'm guessing that you will not be able to. Ivy League students are abusing the quote unquote disability status to get special benefits like bringing their mom to class. You hear me? They're claiming to have a disability so their moms can go to college classes with them. More than 20% of undergraduate students at Brown and Harvard and 38% at Stanford claim to have a disability. This status allows students exemptions from being called on by professors due to social anxiety. It allows them to bring their mom to class, extend time on exams, access quote-unquote distraction-free environments, and use otherwise prohibited technology. So, in basic terms, that would mean they can use a calculator during math tests. You have got to be kidding me. And these are the future leaders of this country? That you can't even go to college without your mama? Damn. What is wrong with you people? And by you people, I mean the parents. But you see, I told you a long time ago when I first started this show, everybody under the age of 40 has some kind of anxiety and takes medication for it. The mental health industry in this country has done such a disservice to young people. It's incredible. You convince every one of them that it's a virtue to have therapy, to be in therapy all the time. These quacks. I've always been pretty open and all about therapy and people going to psychiatrists and psychologists and all of that stuff. But over the past, I don't know, 15 years or so, you gotta really stop and examine the type of person that you're going to for this type of treatment, which is a shame. It went from actually wanting to help people who have, mental health issues. Went from that to, how can we get them as repeat customers for the rest of their lives and make money off of them? Now, I'm not saying all therapists are that way, not all doctors are that way, but enough of them are to cause distrust amongst the people. I work with young people on my other show. I do another show. It's a top 40 morning show that's syndicated. And we've always had younger people on the show as part of the members of the show. And I knew that we were in a different world when something came up one day and the question about therapy came up, and there was an article that said that in the dating world with young people, it is a benefit to the person. It makes you want to date them more if they're in therapy. And I was blown away by that. What are you talking about? And the young people on the show said, because it shows that they're working on themselves. I said, but what if they're not broken? Well, everybody can benefit from therapy. No, not everybody needs therapy. Well, everybody can benefit from it. What's it going to hurt? What does it hurt to just go and talk things out? And then, so if this, like this one particular girl on the show said, yeah, if I meet a guy and he tells me that he's never been to therapy, I'm going to think that something's wrong with him. What? So they've been convinced through the years, and part of the government controlled education system aids in filling their heads with this stuff, that everybody needs to be in some sort of counseling, some sort of mental therapy, or they are dangerous. They're not dealing with their issues. They're not trying to get better in life. I mean, just all of these things. It's a sales tactic. Because obviously, if you're listening to this show, then you got some sense about you, and you're probably a little bit older. You know that everybody doesn't need to be in therapy. Doesn't mean that they are not trying to deal with their problems. They may not have problems that requires therapy. I mean, life is tough. Put on a helmet sometimes, but it's a cycle. The mental health profession tells people everybody's got anxiety. If you feel this way, which are all natural, normal human reactions to things and human emotions, if you experience these things, you have depression or anxiety, and you should seek professional help. And then you go to get the professional help, and every week it's, okay, see you next week. They never get you, you're never going to be cured. In other words, you never have to keep going back to the therapist. And then they tie insurance in with it, and it's just a copay every time you go. But the insurance company's being hit with these big bills, and then the next thing you know, it's a new year, and your premiums have skyrocketed because you used a lot of insurance on therapy. It's just a cycle. Everything just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and you're not helping anybody. So much so that you're having to take your mom to class with you in college. Who are these people going to lead when it's their time? And how, let's just say it's a guy. He's in college. He lies and says that he has a disability, so he's allowed these special exemptions and stuff. and he gets to take his mom to class with him. How is that guy ever going to be a good husband, a protector, a provider, a man who raises a family with a wife that respects him and looks at him as the leader of the family and the protector of the family? It's not going to happen. And then that falls right into the game plan of the Marxist left in this country. Convince everybody they're crazy. Convince everybody that being weak is a virtue. Convince everybody that, you don't need things like a home or cars or anything like that. Government will take care of you. And all of a sudden our society is crippled. And all you got are the leftist politicians there to lord over us. It's sick. Man, if I saw some guy when I was in college at Louisiana Tech University walk into class with his mama because he had lied about some kind of disability, and his mama was in there to take notes for him and do everything, and he's perfectly, there's nothing wrong with him. No, learning disabilities or anything like that. He'd be laughed out of school, as he should be. Okay, so we'll get to the drug boat stuff coming up next. I just saw that story, and I figured you'd want to get it as soon as possible.
It's TJ Ritchie. Radio, podcasts, and cool social media content. Get all the TJ you can handle at WBT.com/TJ. Now, back to the TJ Ritchie Show on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
TJ the Realist Ritchie. That's going to be a household name someday when I take over the world of News Talk Radio. And by take over the world, I mean, if I could ever make $20 a day, that would be the equivalent of my taking over the world. You hear me? I believe you did. Okay. So the Democrats in, a complete hysterical search for an issue to hang around Trump's neck and Pete Hegseth's neck. All of these low-life Democrat politicians that made the video saying, if you're given we're veterans, and if you're given an order that is unlawful, your duty is to not follow the order and blah, blah, blah. They did that just to get people talking and making people believe that President Trump's giving unlawful, unconstitutional orders to the military through the rotten Pete Hegseth. You know why they don't like Trump and they don't like Pete Hegseth is because Trump and Hegseth stand up to them. And they stand up to them in the way that tough men stand up to people. And they can't take it. They just can't take it. Pete Hegseth is such a breath of fresh air. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. So the Democrats have been all in a tizzy because President Trump has ordered these drug boats from Venezuela to be shot, just blown out of the water when they're heading this way. And that's what's been happening. Well, the Democrats hate that. Why? Because they love drugs coming into the country and killing Americans. That's the only explanation I can think of. They are pro drug runner, pro drug cartel. The Democrats are. The professional Democrats. Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, is the leading advocate to protect drug runners coming into the United States. I'm surprised he hasn't volunteered to throw himself in front of the missiles that are headed to these little boats in order to save his friends in the drug cartel. So they say that it was an unlawful order because after the first shot, they left, there were two guys clinging to the wreckage and they were still alive. And then the second blast was meant just to kill them, even though they were no threat. All right. That was a lie that was planted in the Washington Post. And we've been over all of this, but there is an update here. And it's a little confusing because it was last night on Jesse Waters' show on Fox News. They played a clip from ABC News that debunked the Washington Post. Okay? The Washington Post saying that it was an unlawful order to kill these people who were just clinging to the side of the wreckage and whatnot. And, okay, so Jesse Waters playing a clip from ABC and then talking about it and getting the opinion about it from the great Stephen Miller. We haven't had a Stephen Miller clip on the show in a long time, and it's a complete oversight on my part. We should have him on playing his clips, maybe even once a night. He's so great. All right, so now you know who's talking, where they are, and what they're talking about. So here is the clip, cut 25.
Night, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice.
This backs up the entire second strike.
Yes, I mean, it just doesn't get more crystal clear than that. The mission is take out the boat, stop the drugs, keep this vessel and its cargo from reaching our shore using lethal means. And our amazing military, the heroes of the United States Armed Forces, did exactly that. President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and this entire government are committed to finally using our military to defend our people, our borders, our family, our culture, our history, our heritage, to defend the United States. We're not going off running around the Middle East trying to build democracies in caves and deserts and in distant sands that have never known democracy. We're using the military to protect American security, American prosperity, American lives right here where we live, where our children live.
I just love him. The way he starts out laughing and talking, he's yucking it up, and then boom, what we're doing is. He is great. Stephen Miller, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Miller. And why does anybody have a problem with killing these drug runners, these drug people who are bringing this stuff into our country? Who in the world would have a problem with blowing them out of the water before they get here with it? You see what Trump has done is that he has played his cards in a way that however the Democrats go against him, they're going to be showing themselves to be just crazy. Do you realize he has the Democrats defending vicious drug lords who are bringing in fentanyl to our country to kill people, that kills our citizens? He has the Democrat politicians defending them. That's how stupid these people are. That's how obsessed they are with trying to find an issue that will stick to President Trump and his peoples. I wonder, I really do. I wonder if any of these people in their meetings and stuff, when they're talking about focus groups and all of that, I wonder if anybody speaks up and says, hey, you know what? Do you realize what we're going to be doing with this plan? I know we're going to be attacking Trump, but we're going to be on the side of drug runners and drug lords. We're opposing the president of the United States, who is stopping drug lords from entering our country. Do you think that's a bad look? Do you think the optics of that might turn against us? Or do they just like, oh, we're coming after him now, we got an issue, because they have no scruples at all? They're like, whatever it is to get Trump. I bet Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, former astronaut and officer in the Navy, he is such a whack job and so jealous of Trump, so vindictive. You could probably convince him to do the lowest, most rotten, unethical thing imaginable if you convinced him that it would make Trump look bad and get Trump impeached, or make it to where another Donald Trump doesn't come behind him. Like I said the other night, he may have served the military, he may have served the country honorably in the military, but he's not an honorable man. Mark Kelly. He's actually a lowlife. Trash. White trash lowlife is what he is. And Trump is all in his head. All in his head and all in his wonky ears. You ever seen the ears on that fellow? They go in different directions. You're like, oh. Kind of like a German Shepherd puppy. You ever seen them before their ears stand up? One's lopped over, one was trying to stand. That's what, just as a side note, that's what Mark Kelly's ears look like. It's crazy. All right. We got the last segment coming up. And, I know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm not telling you yet. It'll be a surprise. So, hang on.
The TJ Ritchie Show. Identifying liberalism and mocking it relentlessly. This is the TJ Ritchie Show. On News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT.
Putting the funk in your trunk tonight. Look at that. Unapologetic in your face conservatism. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your world with me. I have another thought here on the drug boat situation. So the drug boats coming out of Venezuela, and our peoples monitoring those. I'm guessing these are drone strikes. And they line it up like a video game. They got the boat in their sights. They go, okay, here's this drug boat. How many people are on board? Or whatever. All right, let's go. They hit the button, and then they watch it explode. Fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, and drug runners just splattered all over the ocean. You know how when you have a thing which you see on TV and there's a big building that hasn't been in use for many years, and they're going to build something new, and then they blow it up. You know, they have the demolition crew come in there. Now they have to wire that building a certain way. There's a science that goes into it so that when you blow it up, it just collapses down onto itself, and it doesn't, send bricks and asbestos and everything flying through the city. Well, sometimes they will do maybe an auction or a charity thing where they'll let somebody, one of the citizens of the town, come in and hit the button that blows it up. They're not in harm's way or anything, so they're way away from it, but they're the ones that get to actually press the button and watch it blow up. I would love to be a guest button pusher that blows up a drug lord's boat. If they just let me in there, all right, here we go. And when we tell you, hit that button, push the button, boom, right there. And I don't even like video games. I haven't played a video game since Frogger was a big deal in the 80s. I don't fool with all these video games of today. You know why? Because I'm an adult. Thank you very much. I'm a man. But yeah, I would just love it. I bet people would line up waiting for days at a time to get to be the one to do that. What a thrill. What an absolute thrill. I'd be like, I just can't stop killing. I got to go through the firing range simulator thing at the Charlotte Mecklenburg police training facility years and years ago. And I got to go in the room where you've got the screen in front of you and the people are jumping out from around the corner and you got to decide which one's the bad guy that you need to shoot and then which one's not. You got to hold up. And they said that, and I guess the cops that were in there with us, it was my partner Ace and me. I guess they wanted to have some fun with us, so they said, and when we go through the training, when you're doing this exercise, you've got to talk to the people. You got to tell them, drop the gun, yell at them. And so I was acting, I was doing the part, and I'm sure I looked like a fool and they were laughing at me because I was yelling, cussing at them, everything I had ever heard or seen in a movie, So that was the coolest. So getting to blow up narco terrorists would be even better than that. So listen to this. Our little friend Ilhan Omar, representative from Minnesota, and in her own words, working every day for Somalia, home country of Somalia. People are starting to question now, what did Ilhan know and when did she know it about this $1 billion welfare fraud going on in Minnesota with the Somalis? Seems that people are asking questions because she has close relationships with some of the organizations and businesses and individuals named in the various cases that have uncovered massive fraud, robbing the welfare system and everything, stolen taxpayer money. She has some connections to those people. What? No big deal. Nothing to look at, nothing to see here. Why are you racists looking into that? You wouldn't be looking into it if Ilhan Omar were white. If she was a little snowflake, you wouldn't be worried about it. But because she's black today, everybody's worried about what she had to do with this. Now I wonder if, what they're saying about the officials who are suspicious of Governor Tim Walz, sassy, prissy Tim Walz. When I say I think it will come out, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that he was getting some kickbacks, that he was getting, the political one hand washes the other thing. I'm not going to be surprised about that, but what are the critics saying about that? He's white. So it can't be a racist thing. You know what they're saying? They're trying to throw people off of the story by focusing on President Trump calling him the R word. That's what they're talking about. He says that that people have been driving by his house, yelling the R word out the window at his house. Trump's he's the type of person that gets people killed. Obviously, everybody on the Republican side is going to get people killed. Political violence is because of things like that Trump is doing. But, none of these people who are screaming racism and all about the crackdown on these Somalis in Minnesota, nobody is saying that it's not true. All they're saying is it's racist, and these people, this country was built by immigrants from, that Jayapal witch was saying that. The country is built on the backs of Somali immigrants, and, named every immigrant except any from Europe. But they didn't say President Trump was wrong when he said that their country is corrupt and, that so many of them are defrauding the welfare system, taxpayer dollars, all that kind of stuff. They just, point and call him a racist. He's only trying to deport brown people and black people. Like that Melvin, the mayor of St. Paul that we played earlier. Mayor Melvin. He didn't say any of the accusations and statements that Trump made about the Somalis was wrong. He just said he was a racist for saying it. See, that's the little bait and switch that they do there. But you and I are on to them, aren't we? We don't let them get by with that. So, yeah, I'd like to see Ilhan Omar go to jail or be denaturalized and deported. We'd all love that, wouldn't we? All right, Mark Levin's coming up next. God loves you and ain't nothing you can do about it. See you tomorrow.
It's TJ Ritchie.